Welcome to my talk. So I'm from the cybersecurity field, so it might be a bit different from the other talk that you have seen today, or maybe different from what you do for work, but I'm sure that you will learn something new and it will be fun. This talk is about the human being behind the automated attack. So you know a lot about automation, I'm sure. So let's talk about the human behind. No, not about you, but like the malicious actors, more precisely. So this presentation is also for humans. So even if you don't know anything about cybersecurity or anything about remote desktop protocol, or you don't have to. I'll take you through it. So there is no code, no programming that I will show you today, even if there's a lot of code and programming behind all the results that I'm showing. But today we'll just talk about result. I'll take you into my life of data and how I manage to make sense of data and to see human behavior behind a lot of numbers. So we'll discuss idea and important concept about malicious actors' behavior. So first, I'll present myself. I'm Andréanne Bergeron. I have a Ph.D. in criminology, so I am interested in offenders' behavior, in this case, attackers' behavior. And I now work as a cybersecurity researcher at GoSecure. So I'm interested in attackers' behavior, yes, their decision-making, their strategies. This is what I'm looking for every day in my research. I am also involved in my community as a VP engagement and outreach at NorthSec, which is a cybersecurity conference in Montreal. If you are looking for an excuse to come to Canada, this is a good one. This is a very fun conference too, like this one. And a scientific director of an open source research group for the University of Montreal too. So I have presented at Black Hat and DEF CON, NorthSec, Sector, some BSides, so if you know any of those. And I almost never present twice the same thing, so if you find my research interesting, you can just Google it. You'll find a lot more about our honeypots. So the objective of my research program in general would be to understand attacker strategies, to hopefully share prevention advice, fight against attackers' anonymization, and increase attackers' costs. Okay, so I want to make their life harder, so they will reconsider their activities, hopefully. So the agenda today, remote desktop protocol. I'll just make sure everyone is on board with me on this subject. I'll explain our honeypots, the data set, and then the indicator of human intervention versus machine-like intervention behavior, and the result, of course. So the remote desktop protocol is a Microsoft protocol allowing users to access the graphical interface of remote computers. So, you know, with the pandemic, there's a lot more people using those type of protocols. So to connect to not a desktop, but a Windows server, which is not in their possession, but like remotely. So less security-aware organizations even expose their RDP directly on the internet, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency reported an increase of 127% of those protocol exposed to the internet. So usually you try to hide it behind a VPN or something, but a lot, unfortunately, are exposed. So to study the credential attack and the attack, the malicious actors that are trying to enter your computer through the remote desktop protocol, we operated high interaction honeypots on the internet. So a honeypot is a computer security mechanism set to detect, deflect, or in some manner counteract attempt at unauthorized use of information system. So there's a lot of purposes for honeypots, but here we are talking about pure research honeypots in which we collect information and then analyze them. So our specific honeypot consists in an open source RDP. When I say RDP, it's remote desktop protocol. For the rest of the, okay, just make it shorter. So it's an open source RDP interception tool that we called PyRDP because it's Python, we call it in Python. And we put it in front of a Windows Server environment. And we collect, like since 2021, we collect we capture the net NTLM hashes of all the connection attempts, not even the successful one. So every time someone is trying to connect to our honeypot, to our computer, we collect like all their information about like their machine and what they do to try to enter. So here is my colleague. He's not here, but I just wanted to shout out that he is behind the development of this tool. It is an open source tool that you can all use. And yeah, here is the tool. Everything, I will not read all that, but this is what the tool is doing, so a lot of things. But principally, it's a monster in the middle that collects information through the connection. It's also a player, so it monitor what is going on, it saves it, and then we can watch it later. And I want to show you what it looks like. Okay, even if it's not the subject of this presentation today, I think it's very cool, and I just wanted to show you. So this is our tool for the replays. Okay, so it had been saved in the past, and then when I'm ready to analyze it or to look at what happened on our computer, I take my tool. So this is the RDP player. You'll see when it will start, here it will be an attacker on our computer. So you'll see the screen, the mouse movement with the yellow dot. You'll see at the bottom everything that goes through the clipboard, through the keyboard, and also at the beginning of the session, you'll see the information like the host and the domain name, and also like the username and password that they use to enter, which is ours here, admin. We wish them to connect to our system, right? So here in the clipboard, they have our IP address. So this is the last thing that they copy-paste. Here they are typing, and you see that it appear at the bottom. They will, of course, go change the password, so they will be the new owner of the system. And even if it's blurred on the screen, I can grab everything that goes through the keyboard at the bottom. And here they just use a crypto miner as their principal activities. So yeah, so this is not what we are going to analyze today, but if this interests you, I have like my other talks, as I mentioned, available somewhere on the internet. Today, I want to talk more about before the compromission. Okay? So before they succeed in entering our system. So how do they compromise our RDP system? It's easy, well, not easy, but it's simple. It's a brute force attack. Okay? So they basically try like a long list of credentials, of username and password, and they try everything possible until they get in. But as I said, we put it very simple for them. So if they can guess admin, they're in. But it's not everyone that, so like on 1,500 attackers, there may be like 400 that will succeed in guessing admin. So they're not like, but today I will show, they're not so good. Today I will show their strategies and you'll see how they do it and how they kind of think. So there's usually many attempt login per second because they use automated attack and they just like throw a big list of credentials into their machine and it does the work for them. Right? So the data set that we collected so I took a smaller data set, a subset of 3 months of attack through our system, so from July 1 to September 30. The information that are collected are the timestamp, so when it happens, the IP address, and the credential that they tried. Okay, so the username and the password. And I'm excited to show you how far we can get depth in the analysis of what happened just from those three informations. So if we take all the attempt login and we group them by IP addresses, because very often it's the same address that just keep trying to enter. So we have 3.4, so in the 3 months period, observation period, there's 3.4 million attacks. And if we group them by IP address, we have 1,529 different IP addresses, so which I consider different attackers or group of attackers. So I want, before going into my indicator of human behavior and everything, I want to show you the data set because it has a lot to do with the next steps of the research. So the origin of the attack, this is of course based on the IP address, and they can be using VPNs and other proxies or compromised computer. It might not be their origin, but it can give us a lot of information anyway. So here you see, so Asia, most of our attempt login come from Asia, and Russia have been classified in the continent of Asia here for this research. And this is an important information because they are the one who attacked the most. So here are the 10 countries from where the attack originated. So you see mostly Russia, Panama, and China. And I put China, but the truth is it's mostly Hong Kong, and the very small red line at the top of it is from the other parts of China, so mostly Hong Kong. So there are 700,000 different usernames in the database, in the data set. So here we have the 12 most tried username on our honeypot, so the most recurrent tried. On Windows system, an account with the username administrator is set up by default, so it's unsurprising that, that the username administrator is by far the most popular with attackers. So they know that, they try that, of course. So you see a lot of administrator or variation of this word, and in fact it represents almost 60% of all the attempt login that will use administrator. So what we understand or remind ourselves about this information is that please change, yes, your password. We always talk about passwords, but change also your default username. It's very, very important. So if we go back to this table, there's administrator all over, but then there's other information that looks weird. For example, the offshore bank and AC2 AMAZ. So this is our host name and our certificate name of the machine. So we put the offshore bank. We were pretending to be a bank, offshore bank. Like if an offshore bank would put that. But so it shows that they collect the information of our system and then try a username connect to it, related to it. So this is a lot more targeted than we would have expected, and it's part of the 12 top, the top 12 recurrent username used. And the other thing is WhatUptime. So WhatUptime is a template that people can download to install Microsoft Windows operating system to a DigitalOcean droplet. So you cannot install Windows on DigitalOcean with conventional method. So, but what is that doing there? It's because our honeypots are built on Linux and are hosted on DigitalOcean server. Okay? However, our Windows system is hosted on a different server that communicates with it, of course, because we don't want the attackers to know our structure and to know that there's something going on, some kind of monitoring going on. So what happened is that the malicious actor grabbed information about our system, saw that we were using DigitalOcean and Windows, and just conclude that we might have used WhatUptime tool to install it, right? So, and the WhatUptime tool has a default username and password. This is why they try it. They try whatuptime.com. So even if the end they are wrong, this is not it's not the right structure. It's a very good guess too. So it implicate a lot of thinking, more thinking that, not a lot of thinking, but more thinking than I was expecting them to do. And it is an element proving, again, that they collect information about our missions. Here you have like the 12 most tried passwords now. And the big trend that you see here is like, well, they will use a simple chain of number. They will use variation of the word passwords. This is why we keep repeating our client to just like use strong password, which do not contain the word password in it. It's hard. And variation of our RDP certificate. So, yeah. Let's go. I wanted to share with you a couple of observations related to credential used on our systems. So first, there are some username specialization by country. Okay, when I analyze the username in comparison with the country they come from, well, the origin of the IP address, we have this kind of specialization. So two examples here, our RDP certificate name used by China and Russia only. And the username ADM is used for, which is a diminutive of administrator, is exclusively used by attacker from Nicaragua and Panama. So there's no, like, I do not have any, I don't know why, okay? There's a trend in Panama using ADM, I don't know. But I just wanted to show that there is some specific specialization all around, okay, due to different things. 15% of attackers try thousands of different passwords, but with the same 5 usernames. Okay, so they are very confident about those 5 usernames, and they just keep trying them with a bunch of passwords. So this is one observation that I did. So this is a strategy. I'm not sure if it's a good strategy, but this is like a fair strategy. Others will use like the same username that they do as the password. Okay, so admin is a very good example here. This is another strategy. And others, 26% of attackers use the combination more than one time. So they try exactly the same combination. It's a lot of attackers, 26% of them. So I don't know, like if it would work the second time, I don't know what they're thinking. But clearly it shows that maybe they are not so organized neither, or they like use different list of credentials, and they do not like take off the double, like those who repeat themselves. So I'm done with the descriptive analysis. Let's dive into my research question. So I perceive attackers to be on a continuum of human engagement. There are evidence pointing toward the use of automation, like, well, I'll call that machine-like behavior, and other pointing toward human involvement. Okay? And of course, like this image describes it, the more you are on the human side, the more dangerous it gets, because like for part, it's more targeted. They know more what they're doing. It's not like just launching their automated script and going for a coffee, you know what I mean? It's more thought out. It's more, there's reflection. So I'll show you where I got this idea from. Okay, come with me with my data. I know it's a very heavy graph, but I'll take you through it. So if you take one IP address and 1 month, this is the month of July 2022. And so you have on the, I try to not move, but it's very hard for me to stay in place, to remain in place. On the left, you see like the days of the month, okay? So it starts from the bottom and goes up. And here at the bottom, you see the hours of the day. Okay. That goes this way. So each line, each very small line in the graph is an attempt login. Okay, so they are trying a username and a password. So there's a lot. The more there is yellow, the more they are attacked per minute. And so this is what you see here, the typical pattern that we would be expecting from an automated attack. It's like restless connection attempt made by a bot. Obviously not by a human here, right? So this type of pattern exists, but it was not the majority of what we witnessed on our honeypot. So I'll show you more examples of where I start analyzing the presence of humans. So here you'll see, I cannot show you very specifically, but like there's an attack that a block of attack that starts and then it stops. But then it does not start right away, right? There's a pause between. So we can imagine that it's a list of credentials, like more or less long, that is just started by a human, and then it stops. But the human is not necessarily in front of the computer when it stops, right? When he or she noticed that it stopped and it was not successful, he just start another block of attack, another credential list, a new one. And yeah, I linked it to a human just because like we need a pause, and the computer does not need this pause. So that's why I start thinking, okay, maybe yeah, it's clearer now that attacks are launched and then launched again. I'll show you other example. Here we see a different pattern. Okay, a delay is systematically imposed between attacks. And this is probably to avoid detection, right? To imitate human behavior, because humans do not type very fast, and some system will detect this type of behavior. So they impose a delay. So what is more interesting, even on this graph, according to me, is that there are some weekend pauses, right? Like the empty spots goes with the weekend. So this is interesting because it has been documented that China, for example, would have people, they would hire people to try to hack as threat actor, are the threat actor trying to hack somewhere else. And of course, those people this is a real employment. This is a real job, sorry. So they have to take pauses on the weekends and everything. So this is interesting. And another one, and my last example, is that here the computer is working very hard, right? It's always working, but like you see that no attack will be started in this, like between, I don't know what time is it, because it's like very small, but the time doesn't matter because we don't know where the attacker is, right? It's not the right time. But so there's no attack started. There might be an attack started at another point in time and can go through this pause, but none of it is started at that time. So it could be during nighttime, it could be during daytime, and this is like a hacker that does it like on his spare time, right? So you see where I was going with that. So let's try to measure machine-like behavior versus human-like behavior. Here are what will be associated to automated behavior, or automated attack, I mean. Half of the attacker commit less than 50 attacks. So the number of attacker per threat actor vary between 1 and 100,000. So I set up the limit at 50. Like after 50 attacks, I'm pretty sure it's not a human just trying for fun, because there's no human as persistent as 50. But I had to put the limit somewhere, right? So 50 was like, I was pretty sure about this. So the second indicator would be that the passwords are present in the popular list of leaked credentials. You maybe know about RockU 2021, which is a very huge list of leaked credentials, like that they created a list from all the leaks that happened, and it contains like 8.4 billion credentials. Okay, so it's a long list of leaked passwords. So previous studies have shown that most attackers would just take already existing list and just try it. But here we have 50% of them. So it's not that their credentials were mostly present in that list. So it's not all of them, but it's half of them. After that, the constant presence of the attacker over the observation period of 3 months. Again, there's no like human trying to enter a system for 3 months. That's impossible. So when they were present over the 3 months, I classify them as an indicator of machine-like behavior. And finally, several attacks per second. There's no human able to type this fast, so it's considered machine-like behavior. Now, the indicator of human-like behavior. So the start of attack block after a long pause, as I show you on my calendar analysis, when there was a long pause before we start an attack again, I classify it as human. After that, there's attack that is customized for its target, as we saw, like using our information. I consider it like, of course, they are using automated script and programs, but they also thought more about their attack, so I consider it human. And then there's delay between each logging attempt. Again, it's something that humans should try to anticipate and try to avoid detection, so it's more human. So if we give a point for the presence of each of this indicator and subtract a point for the presence of those indicator, we can have an engagement score here. So this is what I use to just visualize the human intervention level. So the result goes from -3 to +4. You see the frequency of each score here. Most attackers have 0 points or 1, and none has -3 points. So on this continuum of human-like versus machine-like behavior, a larger proportion of attackers show behavior related to human intervention. Of course, there's a human behind each attack, but they might be more engaged than what was expected. So if we come back to our initial question, the results show that attacks are more thought out than what was expected. Heavy attackers using automated attack might also be more sophisticated in terms of strategies and resources than what we expected to. So maybe not for you, but the mitigation for people responsible for the security of their system, their server. Some tips. So avoiding exposing RDP without a VPN on the internet, it will help a lot. After that, the lockout policy, there's a new, the new Windows 11, if I'm not mistaken, does have this lockout policy enable. So right now, there's for the future installation of Windows, you will not have any problem with that because it will it blocks your account after 10 attempts for 10 minutes. So it will decrease the efficacy of the attackers very importantly, significantly. Customized attack toward the RDP certificate name and host name of the target were an element associated with automated attack in the dataset of the present study. So contrary to what is conveyed in certain media about attackers taking the easy road and not being creative, customizing was part of our observation, and this is a bit more dangerous than just a plain attack that was not reflected, let's put it that way. And again, username and password hygiene is the best way to protect against those attacks. So my next step would be to look for the tool that they use to customize the attack, because maybe they collect our information real fast, and I want to know the tool, the exact tool they use. Investigate the list of credentials they use. Investigate share and origin of proxies, and also analyze the successful logging activities. We already have preliminary research on that. We found 5 different profiles of different behavior, of different motivation once they are logged in. So it's interesting. And yeah, that's about it. But that's all. If you have questions, I'll be happy. Thank you.
I just saw your the one where you categorize the attackers by the country and then the dates. Have you ever tried seeing public holidays of those countries?
Yes, I did, but it was a hard one though. So I found like 1 or 2 holidays that would match those, but it was harder. Like it's a good idea, but it's harder to do than to say. So yes, there was two holidays in China that was that corresponds to the date where when it doesn't were not were not corresponding to the weekends, it was corresponding to a vacation day. Yeah.
So some of these were engaged for 3 months, and they didn't guess admin the whole time.
Sorry, can you repeat?
They never guessed admin over 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can have a long conversation about the sophistication of attackers, and but what we learned today is that some think about it and others don't think about it. But yeah, I mean, if it's not part of their list, it will never come up, right? So it's kind of chance.
And another question, I was just surprised not to see North Korea on the list of countries. I thought they were big in cyber attack.
Yeah, but maybe they are better at using like proxies. I don't know. Because I cannot know for sure the origin. But when I analyzed the successful session, I could investigate more because they are in, so I can like see a lot more information. They were coming from the Middle East a lot, but none from North Korea. No.
Interesting.
Not yet. Maybe I'm not not me, but the honeypots are not attractive enough for them right now. But it's in the next step of the study. We'll also put different honeypots just to calculate the difference, to measure the difference between the people who will try to attack. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
What? Wait. Is this microphone working? I cannot hear anything. Oh, this is a good question. How do I know which operating system they are using? This is the question. Oh, how do they know my operating system? Yeah, this is a great question that I cannot answer right now, but like I can find you the answer though. It's just like the RDP protocol. The RDP protocol will grab a lot of information, and when we analyze the information grabs, we have this information. But I cannot like tell you more about why and how, and like it just collects it, and I'm happy about it. But I can find this later if you want to come and see me.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm Panamanian. It was great to see Panama represented up there. I was shocked to see it second after China. Do you have any theories why?
Yeah. So I think Panama is not necessarily like the big place for hackers, but more about proxies. But this is like the next step 2 of the research, just to investigate those proxies and make sure that my hypothesis is correct. But I think that just at first sight, because after that, once they're in, there's no one speaking Spanish or Latin American languages. It's like much more Arabic, Vietnamese.
China is the biggest user of the Panama Canal, so it could be China using Panama as the proxy.
Yes, it's like very likely because this is like China is very present, and maybe they use proxies. Yeah, good hypothesis.
So you've just told the whole world that offshorebank.com is a honeypot.
Yeah.
Does that ever have any effect on the amount of attacking traffic coming in?
So of course it's already not there anymore. It's not there anymore. Okay. So we are working on other honeypots with different names. So, but a part of it is, I want to communicate the world about the honeypot structure and everything. I want the hacker to know that we are watching them. So maybe like they just think twice before hacking.
Was there any trends in attackers' ISPs or autonomous system numbers?
What was the what?
Were there any trends that you saw in the hackers' ISPs or autonomous system numbers?
No, I did not look at that, but it's a good point. I should. I'm sorry I cannot answer or tell you good results, but I'll take a look at it though. Thanks.
To gather more information about the intention behind the attack, did you try like letting them in?
Yes.
Once in a while?
Once they're in, there's different motivations. So some of them will try to monetize their access. So they will sell our traffic to like third parties. So this is one. They will use crypto. They will mine crypto. They will. I forgot the other, but like, yeah, so many types of monetization of the access. And for the other motivation, there's some that just use our server because like it might be more powerful than their computer. They use it to use black hat tools, like malicious tools, to try to compromise other computer. They are trying to brute force other computers. So this is very cool because we see how did they do it with us. After that, they are mostly trying to hide their identity through this jump over host, basically. So yeah, they are attacking other through R. And there's also an ecosystem around the selling of RDP access, okay, so that we witness. So some people compromise the system and then sell it to someone else, and this someone else is not a hacker and has nothing to do with it. They can just connect to watch porn because it's like blocked in their country for some reason. So they come and watch porn. So those are not my favorite one because like I want to see hackers, you know. But yeah, so there's a lot of different motivation.
But I assume not all of them are successful. A majority of them are unsuccessful, right?
The high majority of them are not successful.
In theory, you could let them in, just...
Oh yeah, I could do that, yes. I could, yeah, but at the same time, I want them to compromise me as, in the same way they would compromise another one, right? So there's no point in letting, but yeah, at some point, I guess we will. Thanks.
With Windows account logout or lockout, wouldn't hackers know if you let them in after, say, 10 failed attempts that this is suspicious? If I am a hacker and I tried 20 times to log into a system and it keeps allowing me, I know something is fishy.
Yeah. So is it related to the other comment? Like, if I let them in at the first attempt, they will find this very weird. But no.
I'm saying even the whole honeypot thing might fail in the future because Windows will lock people out after failed accounts, failed login, right?
I'm not sure I heard you well.
Okay, if I am a hacker,
yeah,
I try to log into a system 20 times and it doesn't lock me out.
Oh yeah.
I know this system is fishy, it's not right.
So the lockout policy is new, okay? It's only on Windows 11 that is like enable by default. But before that, Windows were not blocking those type of attempt login. So it was not fishy at that time. Today, it would become the more and more fishy, right? But it's not everyone that is always on board with the last Windows system, right? So for now, it's not fishy, but it will become. We'll find other ways.
I guess how did you initially, I guess, like provide them like a domain, or like how did they find, I guess, where to like try and hack? For
so
the
we
RDP?
exposed our IDP on the internet, as unfortunately many companies does because they don't know. So we expose it, and there are some hackers that just scan the internet for all the available ports that are there, and they just see us and just try to attack us. But they try to attack them all, right? Not just us. This is how it works. Yeah. Yeah, right now we are very concentrated on RDP, but because our monitoring tool is built for RDP, but it could be one of the options after that. I was looking for a research question, so this is one. Thanks.
In your future research, what do you think you might do to get attackers to use more sophisticated methods? So, for example, maybe they would want to use a good dictionary in a credential stuffing attack, which it doesn't seem like they tried.
Yeah, they do not. I could not witness that, so I don't know if in the future they would change their way of doing it. But right now, I do not witness that. Right.
Oh, I meant what might you change in the design of the honeypot to try to encourage that behavior? Just something more sophisticated.
So, like you mean changing the honeypot purpose, right? Or like
same purpose, just a change in the design of the honeypot itself. For example, maybe you wouldn't allow admin, or you would force a domain, or maybe permit things only on certain combo lists or something. Sorry,
I misunderstood you before. But yes, we are not, right now we are working on different structure so they could be we could have like 6 different because right now we have like 3 and it's all the same. It's all offshore banks. But in the future, I would like to have like 6 very different and exposing different domains. So not a bank, but like law enforcement and universities and things like that, just to see which one they would attack the most, or if it's different attacker, or maybe they don't care what they are attacking, they just want to attack. When they scan the internet, they're maybe not looking at what they are attacking. So I want to be able to answer that question and say like, yes, they attack everybody, or not. I don't know. But yes, in the future, I'll have many different structure for the honeypot, and some would be maybe less, I don't know how to say that, because right now there's nothing. Once they get in, there's no files, for example. So my next one, I absolutely want some files in it just to see if they maybe ransomware us or something like that. So thank you very much.